So,
Hey,
Kenzie, so what is your job title nowadays?
at Black and White,
Uh-huh.
I like to say barista. Sometimes I help with other things, but
Hmm.
what's most important to me is being a barista in the cafe.
Okay.
Um, I was the lab assistant for a while, like help with
Hmm.
the cuppings and everything. But I really like being public facing and being able to be
Okay.
that person that like gets to engage with the people who end up drinking our coffee, right?
Sure. Kenzie, I mean, I think your background in engineering. What wasn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Uh, so I studied mechanical engineering for almost 3 years before I dropped
Okay.
out. So I was
Okay.
almost done, kind of. Um,
You
yeah.
dropped out from engineering, mechanical engineering program.
Yes.
Want to be a barista.
Well, yeah. It kind of basically, in a lot
Okay.
of ways, yes.
Okay.
So it was more like I was a barista the whole time, like part
Uh-huh.
time when I was in
Hmm.
school, and I found something I really loved, and I realized if I
Okay.
finished my degree, I'd probably get stuck in an office chair somewhere designing a
Okay.
little piece of something,
Okay.
and designing a little piece of something when I don't even care about the big thing
Okay.
didn't seem like a viable option for me.
Okay.
It didn't seem like it would be fun.
So by the way, people doesn't know, Kenzie is one of the. Do you say founder of UFO Brewer?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I would say co-founder.
yeah, co-founder.
My title was like I was in charge of the design stuff,
That's
right?
right. So,
Um
anyway, so Kenji was one of, yeah, co-founder of the UFO Brewer. So by the way, so I saw your Instagram reel, okay, last week.
okay,
Okay,
yeah.
black and white posted. Okay, you are
Yeah.
on it, and you talk about the gear acquisition or coffee gear acquisition.
Hmm.
Okay, as you know, I'm a big fan of it. Okay, I'm a big fan of
Yeah,
coffee
yeah, yeah.
gears.
You got the setup. You
I
got
mean,
the
I
setup
mean,
that was
I,
yeah.
I have the ultimate setup when it comes to coffee gear wise.
Uh-huh.
Why you're so against that?
Okay. I wouldn't say I'm against it.
Okay.
Um the stuff that I have in this cabinet and on
Hmm.
top of it is like
Hmm.
less than a third of all the stuff I have.
Okay.
But I came to a certain mindset over the past few
Mm.
years, which is
Okay.
that if I really want to get good at a certain combination of
Okay.
equipment, I
Okay.
need to stick with a certain combination, right?
Okay.
So
So
I
okay.
yeah. That doesn't mean you can't get good results with others, but I found
Okay.
in terms of consistency, in terms of having a deep understanding of
Uh-huh.
how things like a dripper behave, right? Which is really
Okay.
important for me. Sticking to one is really great. And for a long time, that was the UFO. I
Okay.
really enjoyed helping with the development of that.
Yeah.
I think that we made a really exciting product that
Okay.
treated extraction a little bit differently.
Hmm.
Do I think it's better than any other dripper? Not really. I think
Yeah.
everything is just a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, uh, it's more a matter of your time is limited and like
Hmm.
what do you want to put your time into? If you're trying to
That's right.
optimize your personal experience, for
Yep.
me, the thing I care about the most is not necessarily having a bunch of stuff. It's
Step.
drinking the
Okay.
best expression of the
Hmm.
coffee that I can, right?
You say okay. You say word expression. I heard
Yes.
that before. Expression.
Sure, sure.
Okay. So what is the minimum? Okay, what is the minimum requirement for, let's say, pour over? I'm not talking about espresso. It comes to
Yeah.
filter coffee pour over. What is the basic requirement for truly enjoy that, the expression from their coffee?
Man, that's a loaded question because
It is loaded. Okay. I mean, I'm
I
not
think
I'm,
it's
I'm not gonna give you a sop or questions.
oh no no.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I think it depends on what you get enjoyment out of. So
Okay.
like we just talked about, right? Like to me, I'm optimizing for cup quality and what I
Okay.
enjoy.
Okay.
And as you also have been in coffee for a while,
Yep.
we're both maybe in a place where we know what our preferences are and we
Hmm.
know how to get there. And
Yes.
so I think for me, trying a bunch of stuff was an important part of my journey,
Yep.
but deciding to focus on a few things
Hmm.
and really put time into that was what really like gave me the last 10% of what I could
Okay.
achieve,
So
you
by the
know.
way, what are you making?
Oh, I was hoping you'd ask. This is
Yep.
Hacienda La Esmeralda.
Okay.
This is the guavo plot, which
Okay.
uh yeah, the lot designation is 5 FB. It's a wash,
Okay.
but this is
Wash
from
coffee.
April. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Very, very good. Probably I don't know. I have a substance Esmeralda right now, the Portone
Okay.
Natural. That
Hmm.
is excellent. This is a close second, I would say. Um, in terms of Esmeraldas I've had this year.
Okay. Esmeralda is on the Panama, right?
Yeah, they're in
Okay.
Boquete and
Yeah.
Truiki.
And so they are the one every year win the or the best of Panama. Those guys does a geisha over there.
Yeah, I mean they won everything last year. They
Hmm.
won
Yeah.
natural wash,
Yep.
exotic or varietal,
Hmm.
and the overall Panama Cup, right?
Okay.
So that was so cool. Especially for those who don't know, Esmeralda was, you know, the farm that really
Yep.
brought Gesha to prominence, right?
Exactly.
Especially
Yep.
Panama Gesha. And now it's been almost 20 years, around 20 years, and they were able to, not for the first time, but for another time, bring
Hmm.
home all the awards, right?
I know.
Um, it's crazy.
They do amazing job. So what is your setup right now at home?
So I have multiples of everything from when I did
Okay.
brewing stuff,
Okay.
but my go-to pour over right now, I
Yep.
have been using the April drippers a lot, which I
Okay.
find do not use them with any other paper except for the April paper. Not even I don't even enjoy the Sybaris April papers, if I'm being
Okay.
honest.
Okay. So
Uh,
April. So you like the April paper?
yeah, April dripper, April papers. Yeah, it's the workflow is very, very good, and it
Okay.
makes it really easy to focus on other variables. So like for a
So
really long
mhm.
time, I was focused on optimizing my pour structure,
Okay. Yep.
uh, the timing, right, the flow rate, the agitation level,
Hmm.
and I was using the mellow drip, which I love the mellow drip,
Okay.
but if you can find a way to lock that down and get good, like decent results,
Uh-huh.
um, then you can worry about other things. And so, like, what the April has really done for me is help me think about how coffees flow a lot more. Um, it's changed how I grind coffee, how I think about
Hmm.
density, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of the conventional wisdom might be that if it's a lighter roast, if it's washed, if it's less soluble, then you grind finer, right? Because you want to
Yeah.
increase that surface
Hmm.
area. But what you find with the April, which this gets a little complicated, but because you're only doing two pours and the
Yeah.
paper
Hmm.
actually reaches its like maximum uh, I don't. This is hard to explain. Because of fines migration, the first pour is going to be way, way faster than the second pour
Hmm.
in terms of draining. But the second pour being so slow makes you, and only doing two pours, so having a bunch of water, right?
Hmm.
It makes you really consider how coffees flow. So, whereas a less soluble coffee, you might actually grind finer on the UFO
Hmm.
with the fast filter. With most other drippers, including the April, you want to grind coarser, right? You want to
Yep.
grind coarser so your drawdown isn't too long, and
Hmm.
so you have more evenness of extraction, which is really important also.
So Kenzie, so which recipe are you using from April? From so you did the two pours, right? You did the center pour and circular pour.
Yeah, so I just did that was 12 to 200.
Okay.
This is the ceramic, so I
Yep.
do the smaller doses in the ceramic typically.
Okay. Yep.
Um,
So this is what I have.
yeah, let's see. Yeah, so I did two hybrid pours, which is like
Hmm.
a pretty standard April recipe. I
Yeah.
like 40-second spacing,
40 second.
so
Okay.
like a minute. But yeah, if you don't know what a hybrid pour is in the chat, it's just partially a circle pour, partially a center
Yeah.
pour.
Mhm.
And in this case, 100 total, 50 circle, 50
Yeah.
center. and
Okay.
quite a high flow rate, I would say too.
So so whenever I use April, I use it about 12, 13 gram at the most. Okay.
Yes, yes.
I mean, that's a design that I mean because I prefer 15.
Yeah, yeah.
So I do usually 150 and 150, break it in half.
Uh-huh.
For your
Yeah.
experience, what's the optimal dosing amount for April?
Oh, for April, I have preferences, but it really depends on the coffee, right?
Sure.
It depends on your water composition and how you
Hmm.
pour. So yeah, I really don't want to prescribe a really specific dose and ratio. I will say with the ceramic, I almost always do between like 12 and 13.
Okay.
Um, so with the hybrid or the I don't know where I put my other one
Hmm.
or the plastic. This is a
Yep.
cashmere one from
Okay.
Loquat.
Huh.
But anyway, with these, you can definitely dose like I wouldn't go over 20, but if you want to,
Okay.
you can. And so when I want a little bit more
Okay.
coffee, or if you do want to add that bed depth, because
Hmm.
this size April has a quite thin bed depth, you
Yeah.
could go. I like to do 15 to 240, and so I
Okay.
do 120 and 120 in the pour structure, which is not uncommon either.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do it that way. I think that's
Yep.
also very good for service because in a lot of places, especially in the US, you pull up for a pour over and you order it, and you're gonna maybe be upset if it's like 6 ounces, right?
Yeah.
Um, I almost only drink under 8 ounces in terms of yield, but I know like that's not necessarily how the rest of the country works. Like at Black and
Yeah.
White, we serve we do 25 to 400 as our base
Yeah.
ratio,
I
which
know
is
that's a lot of coffee.
yeah, it's so much. And but if you're like us and you're like, hey, I wanna drink 15 coffees
Yeah.
today
Yeah.
and like share some of them, that's great to do a very small dose.
Yeah.
And part of the magic with the April too, when you have that thin bed, you're able to saturate really, really quickly, really evenly.
Okay.
And then the speed of the paper is such that with two pours, you get sufficient contact time as well.
Yeah. That's true.
And
Right.
I didn't realize the magic of that because when I was starting out, when I first tried the April, I was like, all right, I'm gonna rip like a 4 pour V60
Yeah.
recipe. Terrible, terrible. Like, is there a way to make it work? Perhaps. Uh, did I find it? No. Right. The 2 pour is great. If you're doing like a 25-gram
Hmm.
dose or more, you're definitely gonna have to break it into 3 pours to avoid
Sure.
overfilling. Uh, but man, it's the workflow is so compelling on the April. Whenever someone suggests like asks me what flat bottom to buy, it's either April or Solo right now.
Solo.
Um,
What's solo?
this guy, the one that George Pung used it to win World Brewers Cup this past year.
Huh.
Designed by Jackie Tran in the Czech Republic, also a Brewers Cup champion. Um, you
Really?
should get one of these. It's quite good. It reminds me a lot of the Oria with the fast bottom, but I
Yeah.
find it's a little more even.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
Okay.
this one I like doing the 4 pours on.
Okay.
Uh, there's a little more bed depth, and it's nice to get a little more sweetness out of that and draw it
Mhm.
out a little bit.
But Kenzie, right now you're
Yeah.
talking about is a very, very specialty brewer, right? You
Hmm.
just described. I mean,
Oh, I'm
April, no,
sorry.
I mean, if people are getting into Prover right now, they only know maybe V60, maybe
Yes. Okay.
Clear. Okay.
If we're talking about minimum setup, which
Minimum
sorry, I
setup.
definitely
Yeah.
lost track.
Yeah.
V6001.
Okay. Oh,
If
one.
O one,
All
I
right.
love the O1. If you need
Yeah.
to make it bigger, you can get an O2, but like
Yeah.
I love the O1.
Okay.
You can get really, really close with the spout if you want. And
Hmm.
like with the bigger one, that's not really an option, right?
Okay.
Uh,
So have you ever played with a Kono dripper?
I don't own one, but I have messed with it
Okay.
before.
Okay. So
That's
Kono,
yeah.
I mean, I remind me of like, O1 of V60 type, right? So this is
Mhm.
the O2. So they're
Yeah.
smaller. But this one has no bypass here in a way.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so you like the V60 with the O1. Okay.
Yes.
Which paper?
I'm a really big Cafe Abaca guy.
Okay. Do you like
So
T90?
T90 is similar.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would say I give the edge to the Abaca just because it's
Okay.
easier to find.
Okay.
Actually, so in my filter drawer, I always
Hmm.
have the O1 and the O2
Okay.
Abacas, so I can um, use it with the switch because
Okay.
I have a few switches as well.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I just find that the V60 is like the perfect intersection of
Hmm.
availability and cup quality.
Okay.
I think the ceiling is very high. I think it's very
Okay.
approachable, and even compared to other conical drippers like the CT62 here, right, or
Okay.
even the UFO, it's a
Mhm.
lot more expensive to get into those.
Exactly. I know.
Um,
I mean, tell me about it.
and don't
Yeah.
forget the Hario Neo just
Yep.
came out.
Just came out as
Um,
well. So basic requirement is obviously V60. Okay. How about grinder? That's the big one.
oh yeah, okay.
The grinder
If
is
you, yeah, I definitely spend the most money on your grinder.
yep.
Like if you had to budget out, right, which I don't think
Hmm.
is uncommon advice, but I think it's definitely correct.
Okay.
Um, if I had to pick one grinder to
Yeah.
recommend to
Hand
people for
grinder.
their first hand grinder,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be a hand grinder. I want to say K Ultra. Uh,
Okay.
I think the ZP6 is actually not as approachable for beginners as
Okay.
a lot of people preach it to be. I think the ZP6 is maybe like a favorite on Reddit. It's a favorite everywhere. I mean, I have one right here, right? I'm going against what I said in the video because
Okay.
I have so much gear, but like
I mean, Kenzie has so much, and I mean, he put me to shame.
oh no. I don't think anyone can put you to shame with
Okay,
your
so
setup.
so this is the K. So this is the K plus, but very similar to K Ultra.
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah.
for
I
sure.
competed with a K plus before I got
Yeah.
the K Ultra.
So this is a
Yeah.
ZP6. I mean, I think you are right about that. Okay, you are right about that for sure. Because some coffee I really prefer from K plus.
Mhm.
I'm so people start getting into it because I know you want to try different types of coffee. I think K Ultra or K plus. I mean,
Yeah.
EV better choice. I'm talking about stuff. Hey, Kenzie, we have to remember this grinder is expensive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen,
Okay.
if you're getting honestly, I haven't tasted the King Grinder. King
Okay.
Grinder is not a bad move. Also, like in terms of what I've heard, and Easy Presso has cheaper options as well.
Yeah, I
I just
tried it.
think
Yeah.
if you're buying one thing and you
Mhm.
don't want to upgrade, just get a K Ultra.
Okay.
And if you can find a used K Plus or something a little bit
Yeah.
older, that would be great. Um,
So you are okay. So what I'm hearing from you is just make sure put a lot of money into grinder at first, right? So you are saying so don't mess with like entry level hand grinder.
yeah, it's hard to say that these days. I would if I were starting new, like if all my
Mhm.
stuff got wiped, I wouldn't want to spend less than like $200 on a hand
Oh,
grinder.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
and that's a lot. But I
It is
mean,
a
Easy
lot.
Presto has options under there if you want. And I think CP6 is running around 200 and K
200.
Ultra is a little bit more.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I would say don't get a Commandante. Um,
Okay.
too expensive. Workflow isn't great. I think I like the cup quality of the K series better.
Okay. I mean,
Um,
Commandante has been around for so long,
oh yeah, I
and
think
so
they're kind of like Baratza. They get
yeah.
heritage points, but they
Hmm.
don't have they haven't been like pushing or following the trends in brewing as much. I think Easy Presso has a lot more. Uh, they're a lot more grounded
Okay.
in their approach to like how
Okay.
things taste, how your workflow is, right?
Okay.
Uh,
So for you right now, V60 O1 with like K series hand grinder.
mhm.
And what about the water? Right, the water is very important
Um,
as well. Okay.
yes. Okay.
So what kind of water you been using?
I have a kind of complicated setup now,
Okay.
but So for reference, what I do now, I live in Raleigh, right?
Okay.
Raleigh
Yeah.
has really excellent tap water.
Okay.
Um, but I do find it moves a lot throughout the year in terms
Mm-hmm.
of composition. So basically, I use either RO or I emulate RO by using
Okay.
zero water and
Okay.
blending back a little bit of tap water. This sounds really crazy, but uh, so basically, I make myself a 20 ppm base, which you can
Okay.
calculate using the
Sure.
concentration
Yeah.
formula. And then I use Apex generally,
Okay.
but I've gone down the rabbit hole of using just tap water, using a certain bottled water, using distilled and third wave,
Yeah.
using Lotus, making my own from scratch using food
Yeah.
grade minerals.
Mm-hmm.
I've done all of that.
Yeah.
Apex is my favorite. It's the thing about Apex is that it gives you a layer of abstraction, right? So the way I explain it to people, if you're trying to learn water chemistry, Lotus is not going to be a good time because
Okay.
Lotus is individual ions, right? When you
Okay.
make your Lotus water, you're adding like one or two chemicals at a time, and you're not getting a solid profile. So how Apex works, as you know, right? Each one is its own profile. So you could use just one and it wouldn't taste bad, right? So you learn to blend these profiles, which is what I do now. But in terms of like messing up, it's way harder to mess up than making your own water than using Lotus, right? Something with
Okay.
individual ions. Uh, so I really like Apex. If you're starting out, what I recommend you do is get a zero water pitcher. I have one right
Yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Stop buying distilled water if you can avoid it. Zero water can get expensive if your tap is like 300 ppm and you're going through filters. So keep that in mind. But yeah, zero water and third wave is like the easiest recommendation. It's very cheap. You can get it on Amazon if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And lots of cafes are selling third wave now.
I
I
know.
like a 1/3 to 1/2 concentration when I was using
Okay.
that. So that's like 50 to 75 ppm with their light roast profile, and I've had great results with that. I do find it has a citrate component
Okay.
that makes it a little zingy in an unpleasant way to me. Um, and Apex is a little bit better for me in that regard, but Apex is also much more expensive, right? And it's also like more complicated use case.
You know what? I'm looking at the Apex website right now. It's fancy.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
their packaging is great, honestly, if you're
Oh
into
man,
that.
here.
But
I mean, they do wonderful packaging there. I mean, like
oh yeah.
you guys can see, they're fantastic.
Um, I've
And
gotten
just
some time in last year actually at Expo, and we were brewing with tonic at
mhm.
the support booth.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I used it when I competed. Even though we had amazing like shop water, I could have
Yeah.
used like the literally the water that Black and White uses to cup everything. Like I could
Hmm.
have used that, and I used Apex instead. But actually, the person that won the regional uh, that I was in actually used that shop water. Nothing else. It's pretty cool.
So so what you buy the drops, or I mean, how you measure the Apex water?
So definitely have a TDS meter to
Yeah.
check your
Hmm.
work. And you end up shaking these a lot, right?
Okay.
To make it more or less homogeneous.
Hmm.
I always measure the drops. I find if you weigh it, it can get pretty inconsistent in terms of
Okay.
output ppm. Yeah, obviously drops are going to be a more granular way.
Okay.
And actually, what I did when I first started using this is I dropped like 100 drops onto a
Uh-huh.
jewelry scale, and
Wow.
then I divided. I found the average drop weight, and that's what I use in
Okay.
my spreadsheets. So I have like a whole recipe spreadsheet to keep track of everything and calculate my expected ppm. So I
Okay.
know, for example, if I build the water and I take this and it's not close, then I did something wrong, right?
Okay.
Um, but that's a little too far
It is too far.
for a lot of
Oh
people,
yeah. So
right?
okay. So
If
let's
you're
not
if
go
you're
there.
maximizing, yeah, if you're trying to maximize your enjoyment and you don't want to get into water chemistry, don't get into water chemistry,
Yep.
you know? like leave that open in case you want to return to that
Mhm.
field. But uh, if you're comfortable using, I know people that are really good brewers that basically only use third wave water, right?
Because
There's
it's
nothing wrong with
easy.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's easy, it's very accessible, and it's really easy to calibrate. And let me shout out the Bean Archives real quick. My friends Brian and Mateus, they started
Mhm.
a subscription service, but something they found really helpful was to bring on Apex as an
Mhm.
offering to subscribers, right? So we could all like, because I'm a subscriber too,
Mhm.
we could all talk more effectively about what we were tasting based on our water composition.
I know. I mean, that's the one, right? Because I wish there is a like roaster, okay, a coffee roaster that hey, here's a recipe,
Yeah, yeah,
similar grinder with how many clicks and then what kind of water they are using. So
yeah,
give them a good reference point.
uh-huh.
But nowadays, we talk about grind size, right? Everybody say medium fine, okay.
Oh, yeah,
I have no idea what that means, medium
yeah,
fine. All right. And I know, let's see here, Onyx does pretty good job by
yeah,
whenever you watch their video, they give you different grinders, EK43 or Commandante or whatever. They give you equivalent, starting point for grind size. But
yeah.
but I
And
think nobody talking about the water. The water is very important as well, right? If you're using crappy water, obviously you're gonna get a
absolutely.
crappy
Yeah.
coffee. So,
Uh, I think we're maybe to a point. This might be blasphemous, right?
mhm,
We're maybe to a point though where the average grinder that enthusiasts have is better. Like it's good enough to where you should worry about the water more than talking
mhm,
about the grind
sure,
size. And now water, of course, can be like intimidating to people,
mhm,
like trying to understand the
yep,
minutia of it. But if you just give them a recipe to follow, I think that's a really good start. Um, like and you can if you dig deep enough you can find people's water composition like by the roaster, at least by
sure,
alkalinity,
yeah,
in general hardness, which is not the most helpful but it's a lot better than nothing. um yeah, I mean, something you can do at home too, if your roaster is in the US, you can just be like, hey, tap water report from this city,
yeah,
and it'll give you the trace minerals by
yeah,
concentration. It'll give you the alkalinity and general hardness if you're
mhm,
concerned with that. Um, yeah, that's how we found out that Raleigh has a lot of silica, which
okay,
actually it affects taste minimally as far as I can tell, but it really changes the tactile weight of coffees.
yes, yep,
It's very
that's for sure.
interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, but yeah, that's something that I think makes our tap water special, and so it's kind of been fun for me to like go away from that for years and then return to blending a little
Mhm,
bit of it in to my composition. But yeah, at this point, I'm brewing with pretty soft water, almost always under 50 ppm.
okay,
But that also gives me some space if I want to add after, right, for post brew.
okay, and then, you mentioned about, one of your video about, the improve your skills, right?
Mm.
What do you mean by skills? So you mean your different techniques trying to improve, or you want to skill by understand how coffee works? I mean, can you
Mm.
like give us a simplify that answer?
Yeah, I might make it more complicated, but
Hmm.
in the long version of that video that got cut down, right?
Hmm.
We were talking about skill trees in like
Yep.
Skyrim, right? Like
Yep.
a video game.
Hmm.
But the idea is like as you gain more experience, you're able to invest points down
Okay.
certain skill tree paths, right?
Okay.
And I think what you do when you simplify your setup is you allow yourself to dig deeper in whatever area you want to dig deeper in.
Yes.
Um, and I think that's very important. I think a lot of people in this hobby, including myself for a while, were really focused on like, oh, but this new grinder is gonna like change everything, right? Like I'm gonna get it and everything's
Mm.
gonna taste better. That's not how it works, right? If you don't understand the fundamentals at a level where you can appreciate that, it's not gonna make a difference.
Yep.
So yeah, I encourage people not only to save money, but to really focus on controlling the human aspect, which I want to say two things about that. Um, the first one is it's very important to know in terms of cup quality and in life,
Mhm.
right? What you can control and what you can't
Mhm. Yeah,
control.
okay.
So this is something people don't think about that much, is what I've found. But the idea is that you can't you can't fundamentally control every aspect that will result in the cup of
Mhm.
coffee you're drinking. Things like the relative humidity, the temperature, the air pressure, all of those actually make differences that are noticeable. Um, and anyone who's like dialed in an espresso knows that, right? You can have the perfect dial in, and the next day it'll be completely different,
Yep.
right? And but people don't consider that for pour over. So I think the first thing to learn is what can I control, right? And the second thing to learn is okay, out of what I know I can control now, which do I really focus on to make sure I'm getting the best cup quality, right? And I think people get really wrapped up in finding uh, a recipe, like one recipe that
Mhm.
works really well across a lot of coffees. I'm going to tell you right now, kind of doesn't exist, right?
You all
Uh,
know.
yeah, yeah.
He doesn't.
So that's something to get over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's more important to know, like, hey, if I can prioritize my consistency, if I can learn to,
Mhm. Kenzie, are you there? There
okay,
we go. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, someone called me on the phone.
I know. It's alright. Happens.
Yeah, consistency is something that is free to work on, right? And
Mhm.
it's a hard lesson I learned at Brewers Cup because, and no, I didn't. This is kind of like I haven't really talked about this, but Wei Hong was on my judge panel when I did
Mhm.
Brewers Cup,
Okay.
and Wei Hong Zhang, right, from Blendin, who
Mhm.
won the year before. And I was freaking out a little bit, and I over poured on his cup on
Okay.
my last pour, and it was by like 9 grams, and I didn't get any notes on a negative sensory aspect of that, which I definitely should have, right?
Mhm.
But in Brewers Cup, every gram matters. And it's not just, oh, I can taste zero point 0.5 gram. Not everyone can taste zero point 0.5 grams of water difference, right? But it's the fact that that is an element that you can control and be more
Yep.
consistent with. So in terms of pouring the right amount in this right amount of time, which you set in your head, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, in terms of spacing, like those are all things that people can work on. And also in spout height and agitation and flow rate,
Mhm.
which is connected to timing, right? But all of these things you can control and you can get, it's like a skill you have to build, right? Um, and I think a lot of people take that for granted. People think that if they have the nicest equipment uh, and like a basic understanding of extraction theory, that they can make great coffee, and you can. But if you're not consistent, what you're going to find is you're gonna hit a 10 out of 10 every now and then you're gonna try to do it again, and you're not. It's not going to be the same, right?
That's true. So
I like to
so
compare brewing to like
Mhm.
threading a needle, right?
Sure.
But if you don't understand the fundamentals, it's like you're doing it blind. Like maybe you'll get it
Mhm.
sometimes, but when you get it and you don't know what you're doing, you're not going to be able to repeat that process. So sorry, go ahead.
When you're working at the, since you're being a barista at the black and white coffee, you guys do hand pour or you guys actually use machine for pour over?
So we have a three group pour study,
Okay, okay,
and
pour study there.
yeah, I am not one of those people that thinks that a hand pour is always better, because I've tasted some really bad hand pours
Oh
from myself
yes.
and from other
Mhm.
people, right? And the pour study lets us focus on other things. It lets us
Okay.
focus on when we dial in. It lets us focus on grind size. It lets
Okay.
us focus on ratio a lot better, because the output is fixed, right? You can change it in the
Mhm.
programming, but the workflow is such that it makes you focus on ratio and grind
Yep.
size. And I really appreciate that as a barista. Not to mention, if we get 5 pour overs, we can set it up and then do other things, right?
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
but as anyone knows who've come into downtown, I do bring like some of my setup, and
Mm.
I do can pours too. If we're
Okay.
slow, I'll just practice stuff. I'll test out new recipes. I'll try
Okay.
new coffees. Um, and that's really fun for me, but it's not. I don't think that that's inherently better than like a person who has a good understanding of how to use a pour study, right?
That's right. Hey, by the way, how's your latte art? I don't want to change the subject, but
Oh, it's hopefully fine. I've never won a throwdown, but I did get second once. I don't know.
okay. So
Uh,
I've been working on my latte art for years. Okay,
yeah.
years. And man, I'm feel like I'm stuck. Okay, I'm stuck. So how many cups a day you do pull latte art pull
Oh my gosh.
per
A
day?
lot. Uh, I probably at most I want to say like a couple hundred,
Couple
but
hundred, right?
yeah, but you can't do that at home, right? Without making a lot
No,
of weights.
I mean
So
that's the thing about I know a lot of home baristas out. It's about 40 people watching. I know home baristas out there. You want to improve your latte art. I have to say, just get a job at the
that's what I
uh,
say. Yeah,
cafe for a little
I
while.
say literally if it's one day a week, make it happen. If you're opening on a Saturday, you
Yeah,
can pour 50
I
50
know.
lattes. And doing that once a week is way better than one every morning, right?
I mean, I'm doing every morning. But I do daily latte art on my Instagram and YouTube channel.
Yeah,
Today
yeah,
was the day 62. I do one a day.
yeah.
Okay, it's been 62 days, like 60 pull.
Mhm.
Kenzie or any other baristas out there, they're gonna do 50 pulls a day. 50. That's one day for 50 days. Again, if you're home barista, if you want to improve, you know what? I wish you the best. I don't think you are going to have that quality. You're gonna be good. You're gonna be decent. You're not gonna be shamed about your latte art, but if you want to be good at it, I mean, like you said, Kenzie, just get a job at the.
Yeah,
But
get paid, do what you love, right? Um,
Kenzie, I'm telling you, I've been applying 3 different places in Tucson, part-time
yeah,
job.
yeah.
No luck. Okay. Yeah, forget it. I mean, I have to open my own coffee shop to do that. Nobody hiring as barista.
I
Anyway,
mean, open your shop. Yeah.
I mean, I might have
Uh,
to. I might have to just
I
because I
know
want to.
one barista job I had, the
Hmm.
owner, her brother came into town, right?
Okay.
And he was so into latte art
Hmm.
that after they closed that day, he went to Costco and he came back with
Yeah.
armfuls of milk and he just ripped it. Um, but hey, like if I don't I'm not asking anyone to reach out to their local cafe to let them do that. But
Yeah.
even if you're a beginner, you can go to throwdowns, you can see the
Mhm.
pours, you can
Yep.
participate yourself. Uh, honestly, getting touch time on a commercial machine also
Mhm.
helps.
Exactly. Right.
So yeah, um,
You do any espresso at home or just a pour over?
yeah. So I don't typically I have a flare, but I almost
Okay.
never use it. I
Okay.
do obviously a lot of espresso at work,
Hmm.
and then when I see my dad has a Linnea
Okay.
Mini.
Okay.
So yeah, uh, that's great.
Oh,
Um,
so how's the espresso at your coffee shop? Is that obvious? You guys dialed in throughout the day?
oh yeah, it's one of the first things we do, and we
Hmm.
try to redo it during mid shift, which is at
Hmm.
1 p.m.
Okay.
But if it's moving throughout the day noticeably, we definitely make it a priority to like adjust and compensate for that.
Okay.
Um,
And let me ask you, someone order espresso,
yeah.
and then they say, "Hey, Kenzie, this is under extracted or over extracted." You
Hmm.
guys usually make new coffee for them, or it says, you're you're out of luck. I mean, how you guys
uh,
communicate that to your customer?
I think I think most of us, I honestly all of us would be happy to
Okay.
make them a new shot.
Okay.
However,
Okay.
there is the notion that like the judgmental home enthusiast
Mm.
is probably not going to be more right than the barista pulling the
Okay.
shot, right? And that's not always true, but it is like a reality that we deal with a lot, right?
Okay.
But that's not, to me, that's not a moment to discourage this person and be like,
Okay.
actually, it was perfectly extracted.
Okay.
Because, you know, and to be honest, like over and under extracted are very like antiquated terms. And I don't
Okay.
feel they accurately describe, because that implies that there's an area of a perfect level of extraction. There's a point at which you've taken out
Okay.
all the best things and left all the bad things, but that's not how it
Okay.
works.
That's
When you
right.
pull espresso
Mhm.
or you extract during a pour over, you're always taking out some. You're removing some good things, some bad things.
Mhm.
Some good things will disappear into the air as volatile
Yeah.
compounds. Will
Sure.
stay in the craft.
Mhm.
All these things make a huge difference, and it's like we make a good effort, I think, to understand those, but it means that it it's like almost irrelevant. Like if I hear someone say that,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm sorry about that. Like, can I make you something else, right?
Mhm.
But maybe I think to myself, okay, maybe this person doesn't have as solid an understanding of extraction theory as our staff, right? And I
Yeah.
don't think that
Okay.
way to like build
Mhm.
ourselves up, but I do think it's important to trust yourself and trust your experience to a certain extent, right?
I mean, okay, so I mean, most people think of it as a under extraction, okay, which means it's
Sure.
under, right? It's a little bit of sourness,
Sure.
okay, maybe too bright, okay.
Hmm.
And if somebody has a right on it, you know what, it tastes like it's pretty good, right? It's balanced,
Yeah.
tasty, just perfect. Sometimes we talk about over extraction, you know, it tastes a little bitter and it's too much, bit much there. So I think that's most people,
Yeah, yeah.
describe
And
as
I think
over and under.
that's a fine perspective to have.
Mhm.
Um, we just have to remember I talk about abstraction a lot, right?
Yep.
That's an abstraction because coffee is an agricultural product. It's not
Okay.
uniform. Our
Okay.
grind size is never uniform. There's always
Mhm.
modality to it,
Yep.
right? Um, when we extract, there are layers and layers of physics at play.
Mhm.
And we don't even like, all we can do is hope to describe the overarching things that are happening, the
Okay.
most important factors, right? So like over and under extraction, I think is a really helpful tool,
Mhm.
especially when you're trying to get in the ballpark with a new barista,
Sure.
right?
Yep. That's
And
true.
you can do things like the salami shot where you
Yeah.
like split
Mhm.
and you can taste the beginning, middle, and end,
Yeah.
right? But even the salami shot, you know, each part of that is the result of like probably millions of uh, individual particles that have been extracted through advection and diffusion.
Okay.
It's insane. Like we can't even. The thing about coffee to me that is really magical. There's because I have like an engineering background, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's so technical and physics intense, yet we don't have a good
Mhm.
understanding of the whole system. Like the cool part is, right, the sensory element, what we can
Mhm.
taste, we can
Yeah.
experience, is higher. It's more developed than the why part,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yep.
So there's so much that means it leaves a lot of room for artistry. That's
Mhm.
why like I'll roll up to a shop in LA where the barista has been a barista for 20 years or
Mhm.
more, and they pull an amazing shot and they explain it to me, and I think if I tried that it would taste really bad, right?
Mhm.
But it's amazing, right? uh there's so many different angles of approach, and like again, like over and under extraction is helpful for a new barista. But I think overall there's more artistry to it than that. I don't think there's one place
Mhm.
that a coffee peaks in terms of ratio, in terms of grind size. I think there are many places, many combinations of all the variables we can control that can taste good. um
When's the last time you had a memorable espresso shot?
oh
I'm talking about memorable.
uh what if I told you it was yesterday?
Really?
Yeah.
What, where? At your shop?
Yeah. So
Okay.
we had a coffee on. It was Edinson
Okay.
Argote, uh, Advanced Natural Gesha,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
So this is a coffee. B Right has roasted it. Black and White has roasted it.
Okay.
It's from Edinson Argote from La Quebradita in
Okay.
Colombia.
Hmm.
Um, it's so expressive.
Okay.
I actually, I'm I don't know if I can say this, but I'll say you'll definitely see it
Hmm.
during the Brewers Cup this year,
Okay.
right? It's that level of coffee, and
Wow.
we found it was very soluble because
Okay.
of the processing.
Hmm.
We found that it was really easy to push hard, yet
Okay.
you needed a longer ratio
Okay.
to get the depth and the complexity that the coffee had, right? So, um, yeah, we also what I did was this is the life changing shot, right?
Hmm.
Um, we had it dialed in pretty well,
Hmm.
and I took one of our milk pitchers, right?
Okay.
Not this, but something like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I put it in the freezer. We have a freezer
Okay.
for Cometeer pods.
Okay.
I put it in the freezer for like an hour,
Okay.
and then we pulled a shot into that and then
Okay.
split it.
Okay.
It was
Amazing.
insane. It was so the intensity of the florality, the loudness of the red fruit and the strawberry. It was so cool. And so what I started doing was like I would put a few of our espresso glasses in there,
Okay.
and then I would see a regular that I knew or a customer that was interested, and I'd be like, hey, check this out. And it's like, I got your drink today. I need you to try this. So I pulled a shot into the frozen cup. The rim is frozen, the bottom is
Hmm.
still warm. It's such a cool experience. We were talking about volatile compounds before, right? And the
Yeah.
whole theory behind extract chilling is like you're actually preventing a lot of those volatile compounds from going off into the atmosphere as fast, right? Uh, and we've seen that a lot in barista and even in Brewers Cup over the past few years, right? So that was just a really cool experience to take a well dialed in coffee that was extremely intense with lots of like really interesting flavor notes and to even dial that up further. Um,
Man,
and
I
to
gotta,
see, yeah, like
I gotta
pass it to
try that.
someone and see
Yeah.
the grin spread across their
Hmm.
face. There's like, that's why I'm a barista. You know, I've had opportunities to do a lot of other things, but at the end of the day, I really like engaging with people and seeing that moment of excitement when it's like, wow, like I get what coffee can be now, or like I didn't know it could be this good, right?
I think Kenzie, the problem is it's hard to find people like you as barista. Okay, someone really passionate about. I mean, if you go to most coffee shops in anywhere, right? I mean, they go to work, they're trying to make a living.
Sure.
So I think Black and White is lucky to have you, someone really passionate about coffee, and your craft, your the skills. I think
Thank
most
you. Thank
barista,
you so
yeah,
much. Yeah, that
yeah,
means a lot. And
yeah,
yeah, I I think there are people like that everywhere in every
hmm,
field.
yeah,
Um, and I think if people, this sounds really dumb, right?
hmm,
But I'm gonna say it anyway. If people followed their dream more, if they followed their heart where
sure,
their interests led them, I think a lot more of those people would end up in places like I've ended up, right?
sure,
Um, and I'm grateful to have had this path, and I'm really excited about what's coming too. Uh, like I had already quite a journey helping build UFO.
yeah.
My time at Black and White, and all the opportunities I've had there. You know, um, I think it's important. If there's one takeaway, let your heart guide you.
Yeah. So, what
Um,
is your plan for next 5 years? Are you going to keep working with the Black and White, or are you planning on doing venture out for something exciting, or what is your plan?
um, I can talk about two things right now.
Ah,
I
okay.
think.
So you are doing something.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. You are doing something. Good.
So for the past year,
Hmm.
we've been planning and practicing, and learning to roast more or less,
Okay.
right?
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting one.
yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We
Hmm.
wasted a lot of coffee. I mean,
Hmm.
nothing was wasted, but it was like
Sure.
you don't start out as a good roaster, right? Um, but I hope I can share more about our plans with that soon. But
Okay.
that's been in development. And then the other one is my dad, who's also taken an interest in coffee since I've been really
Okay.
into it, right?
Mhm.
He wants to start a cafe with me.
Oh,
So,
okay. Where?
um,
Are you living in North Carolina still? I mean, you
yeah,
are. Okay. Are
yeah,
you
it'll
playing a
be well. That's the other thing because I don't know where the roasting is going to take me,
Mhm.
and that's my priority right now, right? So, uh, it might take moving to a big city to
Mhm.
learn from other people. It might take, a few weeks trip to
Mhm.
uh, like a Nordic country, honestly.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Light roast coffee.
oh yeah, I really in the past few years I've been really enjoying Nordic Light. Um, it's like the intersection of acidity and sweetness, which is like those are the two things that I love in a specialty coffee, right? Um, and we can talk about ultralights. We can talk about black and white is more on the comfort light end, I would say.
Yeah,
Um, and those are great too. But I drink it a lot at work, right? So
I
at
know.
home, I'm like, yeah, I'm drinking some April. I'm drinking some Tim Wendelboe, that sort of thing.
Okay, hold on.
Since day,
So
right?
since we are talking about roaster,
Hmm.
coffee roasting. I've been roasting for quite some time now as well, and because the coffee you want to roast
Hmm.
is, I mean, such high level, you cannot just get any coffee roaster to do that, right?
Hmm.
Because you have to have a good understanding about roasting and also good temperature control as well. The roaster. So what are you practicing right now? So which coffee roaster are you using to improve your skill set?
I've been practicing on a Stronghold
Okay.
S7X.
Okay.
Um, and Yeah, it's been, I would say, mostly an exploration of
Okay.
what levers can I pull?
That's right.
Like what variables can I change? Like
Hmm.
like we talked about with brewing, what can I change and what do I prioritize? Because after you learn what you can do, you can then start to optimize how you do it.
Yep.
How you make those changes so you have the impact you want in the cup. Um, so a lot of our experimentation over the past few months has been related to halogen and that heat
Hmm.
application, the radiant heat
That's right.
application, which yeah, is of course like a hallmark technology of Stronghold.
Hmm.
Um, I really want to get some touch time with the Roast machine.
Which one?
So
Roast?
yeah, with the E.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
roast, right? How do you
yeah,
say? Is it roast or
I've
roast
heard
or
both.
how?
I say roast because if I say
Okay.
roast and people aren't familiar, they're like, "What
Yeah.
roast?"
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
but I should look up how to pronounce it honestly.
But
But I also
they're
hmm?
so expensive, man. I
They
mean,
are.
gosh.
Yeah. So is the Stronghold though. So I have to find a place where I can lease the Roast or else figure out how to get one, right? Um, because in my research, which is honestly a lot of that is like thanks to Chris Farron at Aviary,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
He the consistency and the workflow of the roast is much higher
No.
in my from
Hmm.
what I can tell. Like I've run into problems with the Stronghold where we're trying to like control certain variables and see what happens, right?
Hmm.
And for example, we'll run the um what am I saying? The halogen,
Hmm.
and we'll cut it off early to see if because the halogen is a different heat application, right? It's radiant
Hmm.
heat.
Yep.
A lot of people I've talked to have had a lot of time on the Stronghold. Were like, yeah, you should try roasting with the halogen very high
Hmm.
at first, at the first like phase, like the drying phase, and then
Hmm.
cut it around 5 minutes before 5 minutes,
Okay.
right? We did that and it took off, which makes no sense because if you're removing a heat source and everything else is the same,
Hmm.
it should have a much longer, it should coast longer
Hmm.
and it shouldn't hit your end temp that fast. But I think what we found is that there's a power inconsistency. So like say your hot air is set to level 8 out of
Hmm.
10 at the start of the roast and you keep it there but your halogen you end up dropping compared to the first roast.
Hmm.
When you drop the halogen, what we found is that it just takes off. The ROR goes crazy. It's so fast. And we ended up losing like over a minute of roast time, which gave very little development time. And in the cup that really showed up, the internal development was very poor, right? Um, so that's interesting. And the only explanation that we've been able to figure out is like there's something wrong with the
Hmm.
power delivery where when you cut the halogen, the hot air is actually able to get hotter, right?
Hmm.
Because we saw the temperature spike, even though the setting was the same. So like when you cut that, it's like letting the energy go to the other energy
Hmm.
sources, other heat sources. And that's really, really frustrating because why would it work like that? It shouldn't work like that. Um,
Okay. So
does that
are
make
you
sense?
doing, yeah, kind of. So are you doing that
Okay.
with black and white, or you have your team for some other projects?
This is not a black and white thing, although
Okay.
they've been really helpful in
Okay.
terms of like letting me learn
Hmm.
and like opening their spaces to me,
Okay.
right? Uh yeah. I think
So
that's
are
a good
you
way to put it.
so are you thinking about opening up a coffee shop and opening up a coffee roaster? That's the big plan down the road?
Yeah.
Okay,
Um
gotcha.
they're two separate things with two different groups of people.
Mhm.
But I would like for that to be what happens. Yeah.
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
optimal, right? Special
Oh yeah.
coffee roasting is, man, coffee roasting is booming.
Oh
Even
yeah.
with our current economy, I never heard, coffee roasters are doing bad. I'm talking about good roasters, specialty coffee roasters. So
Yeah.
so what are
I
you going to
agree.
be doing? Yeah, what are you going to be doing at the San Diego next month? Are
Um,
you
the only
working or
thing that I'll definitely be around to like hang
okay?
out and meet people.
Hmm.
The only thing I have confirmed is I'm doing a workshop with Slow Pour.
Okay,
So that's going to be
slow
on
pull.
Saturday.
Okay,
Um, I should have written this down. I'm pretty sure it's 1:15 to 2 p.m.
with
But it'll be
it's going to be
announced.
it's going to be at the booth, or is it going to at some kind of room?
It'll be at their booth on the floor.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Uh,
shout out to
I-
Anita.
yeah.
Is
I have.
Anita still is Anita still work there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Anita.
Still running the show. I
Yep.
think I'm excited to share more about like the nature of that workshop as we
Okay.
finalize things, but I think
Okay.
that's like the best I can like give right now.
Okay. That's
Um,
good.
yeah.
So when you're coming in, are you coming in on Monday or Wednesday or what day?
Um, I think I'm there Thursday morning to
Okay.
Monday.
Okay. Good.
So yeah, because I'm a full-time barista, I usually
Okay.
don't give myself a lot on the other
Okay.
ends. Um, but yeah, I am staying all 3 days this year. Last year I did Friday, Saturday. So
Oh yeah, Sunday's awesome. I mean, I love Sundays.
Sunday is
So
quiet. It's nice,
yeah,
right?
quiet, and then you gotta get a lot of free stuff as well. So it's a good time.
Yeah, everyone has to get rid of everything.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah. So is
What
a
are you gonna be up to?
so I'm gonna be around. Okay, I'm just gonna visit all the booth
Mhm.
and they say hello. I definitely see you for sure. And is Black and White going to have their own coffee booth?
I don't think we're doing a booth.
Okay.
Honestly, like whenever I go to Expo, I
Hmm.
don't do anything with black and white.
Ah,
Uh,
okay.
and it's like it's nothing personal. It's just that they already have a leadership team that will
Okay.
typically fill those roles,
Okay.
and so I hang out with them when I'm there, but I don't usually do anything with them. I think in
Okay.
2024 I worked the Breville booth for like an
Okay.
hour,
Okay.
but yeah, usually my understanding is they take turns with Onyx at the
Okay.
Pacific booth.
Okay.
So they'll probably be serving some black and white coffee at a different booth,
Okay.
is what I would say. Yeah.
Okay. That's perfect. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
looking forward to seeing you for sure. And then, you
Oh
know
yeah.
what? I mean, I'd like to have you on more often, okay? Because I feel like we are just scratching the surface about Pourover and Espresso. That's for sure. So, how many days a week are you working at Black and White? usually?
Usually I work 6 shifts over five
Okay.
days. So
Okay.
one day I do both shifts, which is
Okay.
fun. But it's
Mm,
yeah, it it is like it can be like 11-hour shifts
sure.
sometimes, but it's so much fun. I really and the team that we have there is the best team I've ever worked with.
Okay.
Um, it's yeah. Come by if you're ever in Raleigh for sure.
So Raleigh, North Carolina. If you're there, make sure to stop by Black and White and say hello to Kenzie. Hey, Kenzie. Hey, thank you so much for joining us this
Yeah,
afternoon. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna see you San Diego for sure. I'm gonna
yeah.
and yeah, yeah. I need to have you on more. All right, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for having
All
me.
right. All
I
right.
hope this was valuable for you all.
Sounds
But
good.
yeah,
See you soon. Bye bye.
bye.
Okay, so that's the yeah. It's a lot. Here's the thing about Kenzie is very technical. Okay, technical mind as well, and plus he passion for coffee. So combine those two, I mean, yeah, I love to try his coffee for sure someday. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this segment, and I'd like to have some more people on. Hopefully, you know what? The fact is, I ask so many people, so many people, but it's only a handful of people say yes. So I'm gonna keep trying. Okay, guys, I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow morning.